Morris, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the commission, our commission here, and the fire chief for running a very fine department. We had the unfortunate circumstance about 3 weeks ago when we had to call for help, and the fire department responded, and with great courtesy and care, and my wife was transported to Bellingham Hospital, and it was all went so nicely and smoothly. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Commission, for your very good work.
Thank you, Will. Thanks for your comment. Thank you for the duty of people like you and other people as well about what we do here. I take that as a vote of confidence. Betty, your turn.
My turn.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Betty, excuse me. I'm skipping a beat here. We go back in the lineup. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting last month.
And you have them in draft form, and I will
Yeah, we don't.
recommend that we accept them as they were written.
Are you back? You said one? Okay. Somebody can take that?
The video one.
All right. The meeting, same thing for the meeting, the special meeting on June 14th. So you got that?
I move we accept the minutes as in draft form.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Both minutes, both meetings are approved, all in favor. Thank you. Next one. Betty, go ahead.
Okay. We have July warrants that total $20,014.62. The total for payroll is $17,401.33, including Chief Carlson's salary of $5,000 and Chief Shields' pay of $2,958.33. There were 2 events for the commissioners and the secretaries. The total payout for the volunteers, warrants included, is $11,970. And you have the June financial statements in your meeting book for review. So we're just looking for a motion to approve the warrants and payroll for July as presented.
Thanks, Betty. Anybody, any comments? No? We'll take the lead in approving them. Take both sides, okay. Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Thanks, Betty, for that.
Okay.
Do you have a budget update for us?
Yes, and the budget remaining as of June 30th, 2018 is 58.03%, and that's in comparison to 2017 remaining of 54.31% last year.
Okay, so we're doing well there. Quick tabulation tells me that we are about 18,000 or thereabouts ahead of last year. Thanks all for trying, you two, Chief. You do well. No complaints there. Correspondent. Oh, Patty, thanks for everything. I don't think we have anything to wait. There's no questions from the commission today.
Okay, and I have 2 other things on the agenda just to go over real quick.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. This is a void and reissue of lost warrants. And that is it was for a check issued dated May 22nd, 2018 to North Whatcom Fire and Rescue for some training in the amount of $750. And that is warrant number 1059273. They never received it, and so they filled out that duplicate, Duke's instrument affidavit that they did not receive it, and so we just need approval and the signature of the Boyd cancel form in order to reissue that, which I re-entered it on our payable board slide.
Okay, we have that for you.
I have that front, that was Patty, and I'll get the signatures required on that and bring it down tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. So I just need a motion and approval for that.
I move that we accept the approval for item 1059273 for $750.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. This motion passed too. Anything else?
Thank you. And then the last item that I have, and this is just general housekeeping, we do this resolution every year. So we're looking for approval for resolution 2018-2, and that's ordering cancellation of warrants that are prior to July 1 of 2017 that were never cashed.
Beautiful. Okay, what amount? What amount, Betty?
Pardon?
What amount, which amount? Golf rate?
Let me add up the amount. There's a couple different warrants here. It's $811 total.
Okay,
And those may be reissued at a later date, but we need to have those volunteers fill out separate paperwork, which can be done at a different time.
okay, they're volunteer paychecks, so to speak, right?
They are, yes.
Two people?
There are a total of three people.
Okay, well, we'll deal with it when they come and find out why they have not received the money. Okay, anything else, Betty?
No, that would be it.
That would be it, okay.
We need a motion for that too?
Yes,
Okay.
So,
Okay, so for 2018-2, canceled checks from non-payment to volunteers of $801, that we accept that.
Was it 811 or 801?
811.
Oh, 11, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Then the second on that? All in favor? Aye. Approved. Okay, anything else, Betty?
That's all I have.
Okay, let me ask the commissioners, do you guys have anything you want to talk about to Barry and myself?
No, just thank you.
Why is that? No questions from the floor here. And let me thank you, Patty, for your time spent, and have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Correspondence, Steve?
I don't have any correspondence to mention. We did get a grant from an individual within the community for $4,000. And that grant specifically to be used for our command training course through Blue Card system. So that was very thoughtful of this individual to help us become better at conducting ourselves on emergency scenes.
That's great.
And it really helps us out a lot in this type of training. So
Okay. Anything else, Steve?
nothing to report on that, no, or correspondence purposes.
Okay. Good, so that's the rest, let's go to the chief's report then.
Chief's report for the month of July for June of 2018. I've received an award number for one of our AFG grants, and it's in the realm of about $10,000. And that grant's going to be utilized to get us a new SCBA fit tester. Every year, every single firefighter has to get their mask for their SCBA test fit, and make sure that there's no leakage, that he or she has 100% seal for IDLH purposes going into structure fire. So the one that we currently have is obsolete, and it's on its last leg, so I put in for a grant, And as far as I know, we've received the award number, so we should be getting those funds hopefully in the near future. And then they'll be turned around to purchase this new system. I'm looking at more grant opportunities. Still looking at, I think Walmart just opened up North Region. Council's just opened up as well. And some other grants that I'm going to be putting for that are currently not open, but will be opening up in the next few months. So I'll be putting in for those. Nothing to report on the apparatus. Our apparatus are good at this point. We have 42 members. Nothing's changed. There are 23 Canadian, 10 Point Roberts, 9 County, 4 paramedics, 15 EMTs, 7 advanced EMTs, 3 ambassadors, and 35 firefighters among those 42 members. Volunteer hours for the month of June 2018, 2,839. Volunteer payroll, if all were getting paid, 14,124. Combined chief hours, I worked 189.5. Assistant Chief Shields, 176.5. Total chief hours, 366. Total calls last month, we had 32. EMS calls, we had 13. We had 4 transports of our own to St. Joseph's Hospital, 1 airlift. We had 8 no transports. We had 3 public service, which were smoke detectors. We had 2 cares, mobile intensive health care, integrated health cares, visits, agency assist, we had 0. 14 classifications for fires. We had 4 permitted burns, 5 illegal outdoor burns, 1 false alarm. We had 1 structure fire on Clare Lane, and we had a power lines incident and 2 grass fires last month. So that concludes my chief's report, unless there's questions.
Anybody? No? No? No questions? Chief? Okay, next item on unfinished business. Anybody have anything on the table? Or wants to bring to the table?
Unfinished business. So unfinished business, we need to discuss and approve the capital facilities plan that we had a special meeting on last month. I just need to answer any questions that you may have over those last month, or if you're good with the plan as presented, and if you would like to approve that plan so we can get it into place. The only things that I need to know by this commission, as was stated in that special meeting, are the percentages that you would like to do with the mitigation fees. And the mitigation fees currently, in the one that I showed at the meeting, the capital facilities costs are equated to about $1.8 million over the life of this span, the life of this facilities plan. And it's an extensive facilities plan. We spent about 6 months on it working with Matt Alec down at the county, but it starts in 2018 and it ends actually in 2036, I believe. So, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2036. During that time, I've taken out the engines for replacement purposes. That saved us basically around $1 million in our capital facilities plans. That means that both of my engines will have to go out to 40 years. One is 27, one is 24 years old at this point. How we plan to overcome that is buying the mini pumper that we discussed at that meeting, that you've also been given articles about, paper to review, and I've spoken to each and every one of you individually about that. To get a different component that has the same pumping capacity, but it's basically a truck. It'll hold firefighters just as the big engines do. It'll be classified under WSRB as a Class 1 engine, so meeting the pump capacity at the minimum. Minimum for a Class 1 engine has to have 300 gallons, and I believe, when I say 1,000 gallon minute pump, but this one will have a 1,250 or 1,500 gallon minute pump. Both of our engines out there pump 1,500 gallons a minute. So I'd like to stay to that level that we've set, but if we go down to 1,250 because of weight or size purposes, then that's still perfectly fine. So that's where we came up, and it went from like 2.6 down to 1.8 because we removed the engines. The projected facilities cost, and this includes, as you remember, everything that we could come up with: flooring, roofing, building, painting, everything that we could come up with over those 18 years of this plan. So it's one of the most extensive plans that's in place right now. It actually is required by the county to be in place, and we're going to be one of the districts that actually has finalized it. So it comes down to the mitigation. So at the end of 2036, we end up with about a $316,000 deficit at the end of this. So between 2031 and 2036, that's when we would start going into a deficit play. And to overcome that, North Whatcom, Marietta, District 14, there's some of the districts that have implemented mitigation fees. And those mitigation fees can help us overcome that deficit. What a mitigation fee is, for the general public that hasn't watched that video, it's a fee assessed to new commercial or new residential structures. So again, there's North Whatcom does that within their districts. District 14 and Marietta are the districts that are received from the county that currently have mitigation fees in place. So the county projects 253 more housing units over the 18-year period of this capital facilities plan. And they project, I think, plus or minus around 70 plus thousand square feet of new commercial within Point Roberts over the 18 years of this plan as well. So what we need to discuss is, or what you need to decide as commissioners. The plan that I provided you had us providing 82% of that cost through our tax funds. That would leave, so we got a 1.8 facility, capital facilities cost 2018 through 2036. If we pay 82% of that, that's 1.5, leaves 330,000 unaccounted for. So that 330,000 now is split between residential and commercial properties. The likelihood of us having more residential properties here is higher because of the developments that are in place. Anything that's current would not be assessed with this mitigation fee. It's anything, once this is approved, past that, if it has not been plotted by the county, it has not been approved to be developed, then those things would be assessed. The 330,000 is what we have to decide. Is it going to be off residential paying more, or is it going to be off the commercial paying more? Right now, we have 80% in the plan being from residential structures, and that would equate, of that 330,000, 264,000 of that would be paid by the residential new buildings, and that would equate to 1,046 per residential structure. Okay, so 253 times 1,046 equals the 264. Okay, and then that would go from the 330,000, 20% of that would be covered, which is 66,000 of the cost, and that's 93 cents per square foot of the 70,000 new square foot of commercial that the county projects will be in this community by 2036, by the end of 2036. That equates to 66,000. So that both of those 264,000, 66,000 and change equates to 330,000 net. We're in the negative towards the end of this plan. So the growth that we have projected in this comes from the county, and that's over the last 10 years, I believe, and that's 1.8%. 1.8% per year is what our annual growth has been. That includes the 1% we can take, and then we have an additional 0.8% that we acquire every year within that. The cost of doing business is projected at 3% in this plan. Some organizations have been at 2.5%, some have been at 3.5%. We decided to go for 3% in our capital, if you're good with that. Otherwise, that number can change as well. So, but the revenue is the revenue. And that's been calculated by the county and the person I worked with down there. So, do you want us to pay 2% of the remaining 330,000? Do you want us to pay 80%? Do you want us to pay 75%? You just need to decide that number. 82% is what this plan is at now. Okay, and that makes 330,000 left to residential and commercial structures. All right, out of 1.8, and literally 1.5 the district's going to pay is 1.8 total. Okay.
So if we change it to, from 82 to 80, that means.
Brings it down to 294,000. That would be residential, between residential and commercial.
Right.
And that would bring down the residential cost to about $930.
Right, that would mean that the homeowner or developer would have to pay 2% more.
Say that again?
No, we pay 2% more.
No, if we change the 82% to 80%,
Right.
Yes,
that means that which is borne by the district.
yes,
That means that the developer or homeowner will
Right.
have to pay 20%.
correct. Yeah,
That's what I mean.
yes. Okay. Yeah, so if we make it an even 80-20, make it easy, or we're gonna have 82-18. Right now, we're at 82 and 18. And that's where we get 1,046 per dwelling, and 93 cents per square foot commercial. If we go 80-20, then it's going to go up probably 1,100-1,200 for residential, and over $1 probably for commercial.
Now, if they don't achieve that development of 243 structures,
253 is what's projected, yeah.
so if we do less than that,
Yeah, then we have more liability.
yeah,
Yeah, so our 1.5 becomes 1.7. If we only have 150 dwellings and only 50,000 square feet of commercial built within that period of time. So yes, it's going to be more burden on us. So in the red, our negative is going to grow. If the county doesn't, or Roberts doesn't meet these projections that the county has.
This is a projection.
Yes, it is.
It can be changed over time.
Absolutely.
And we're guesstimating all along the way.
Yeah. Very good points. And I believe we should come back to this, if every couple years to readjust it. Because if we see that our income is only 1.5%, we need to adjust that to rework the numbers to show it as correct as possible for us to be dynamic in our thinking of how we're going to overcome these deficits. Now, if our revenue becomes 2%, we should adjust it there as well to show the end product too. If inflation's more than 3%, then we need to adjust that in the plan. But maybe to come back every year, I think maybe too much, but every other year, I think would be reasonable. But that's going to be a decision by the commission to look at this plan and to see where it currently is and are we on track with it. So it's obviously dynamic. It's never going to be static.
I would be in favor of going with a higher number. My reasoning is that it's easier to go down than it is to go up in psychological thinking. And so if we started out with 82 and found that we didn't need that much, we could go down. If we have more buildings, if we have, another 30 buildings.
Yeah, well, 82 is what we would be paying. So we'd be paying the majority of that. Only 18% would be covered by us, so it would be less cost to the new developments at that point if we take a higher percentage.
I wouldn't recommend going a higher percentage of that.
Than 82%. Okay.
Excuse me, I'll go along with that. I can see your reasoning. And as long as we remember that it is at all times completely fluid.
That's
And
That's
we have
important.
inflation, we may get deflation too, which is unlikely. And if we have 3% next year or whatever it is, who knows? Yeah, absolutely better than
3% was chosen because it's kind of in the middle of 2.5 and 3.5. So
Makes sense.
I'll let you know that the manufacturers over the apparatus are looking at a 6% increase per year for the cost of the new apparatus. So a new engine 5 years from now is going to be 30% more than it was today.
Well, we know that, that's an old story.
Yeah. So the 3% is for general commodities. Is what I'm looking at.
Folks, we'll have to make a decision. What do you want to do?
Make a motion we accept the 82% as it stands.
Okay. So 80% paid by the district, 18% split between
80 to 118.
Yeah, 18 split between the residential and the. Now, are you okay with the other question that needs to be answered is, are you okay with 8% being residential and 20% being commercial of that 18%?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Again, it's a guesstimate, but I think that seems realistic.
Okay. And again, that can be changed over time. If we see an explosion in commercial here, we can change it to reflect that as well.
Being realistic and having been here a while, looking back, over the years, there's very minimal commercial construction going on. And it's all residential, really.
Yeah, and that's the guidance.
That's where the main area will come, if you see it as well.
And that's the guidance we got from the county as well. Because
I'm sorry?
the county gave us that guidance
Right.
as well, and that they want us to be aware that the majority of what we're probably going to see is residential and developments here in Point Roberts on vacant land versus a massive non-commercial community.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah, and,
Well, let's take it 80% or
80% residential, 20% for commercial, of the remaining 18% of the 330,000. Okay.
for the general public, the average cost or the average mitigation cost is around $1,050 per house or per new construction. So none of us will feel that here, sitting here, because I don't think anybody's going to build a new house while we sit here. But it's for new construction only. Yeah.
Do we know how that affects anything that's currently in the books?
Anything that's currently on the books is not going to be affected. So it's anything,
Right, but are we anticipating that there's going to be some major building going on? No.
I do not know. So the big plan of the marina is to have 200 plus living units around the marina with the hotel as well. Whoever, we don't know if that'll ever come to completion, right? There's other open lands, 5 acres here and there, 20 acres that can be developed or sold off and developed into housing units in the future. That's what the mitigation fees would be for. So any lot that is already drawn.
And let's not make it easy, Chief. Right? Any new building permit, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, any new building permit.
Building.
We'll have that fee
Has
attached.
a fee attached.
Yeah, and that's one caveat, and that is if the land has been plotted. So if the land's already in the books as plotted, it has its boundaries, and it's at the county, this would be more or less new subdivisions. Okay, like Seabright. The Seabright's already in the books, there's nobody that's going to be impacted by Seabright, by this mitigation fee. So,
If you would mind checking out the minor details.
Yes.
They seem minor, but they are important, because when do we get paid? When does the mitigation fee come into effect? By the issuance of the building permit at completion, occupancy, that sort of thing.
right.
So that might impact our budgeting.
True.
True.
Good.
So we should know.
Yeah.
When we get
And as far as I know, these fees have to be used within a 5-year period of receiving these fees. I do not know what happens to these fees if we do not use them within that 5-year period. And this is information I received from the county. So does it go back to the builder or the land developer, or does it go back to the homeowner? I don't know. So those things I will find out, and I will hopefully be able to report that in August to you, if not before.
Do you project not using those fees?
Oh, no. No.
Right.
For everything that we have, the replacement of the apparatus, the ambulances, those types of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be going out to grants, right? I'm going to be, in probably 3 to 5 years, I'll be writing engine grants again, because they're not giving me a lot of credit for being 25 years old, because now that's an accepted path. Once they get to the 30, 35-year-old age of the engines, I think I'm going to have a better opportunity to hopefully replace one of our large engines. But that's the purpose of the mini pumper, is to help those engines get out to 40 years. And the mini pumper would take over 95% of what we currently run on as a department, both medicals and fire. And then on structure fires, obviously, the big engines would come and be on that card as well.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, this situation is completely fluid from now until the time. I personally would like to know what happens to after the 5-year expiry, where that money goes. But that's in the minor
And I'm gonna make sure I have that information for you, if not, at the August meeting, or if not before.
I wouldn't be surprised if the money goes into some sort of account in the economy.
I would bet.
So, okay.
Okay,
Nice job.
So, just to reiterate, we're approving the capital facilities plan. I will get together with my county counterpart. We will finalize it and make it a formal draft, not a draft, but a formal document. And at that point, it'll be approved today, but I'll put it out there for general public view once it's finalized into its final form.
I move we accept it.
It's been moved to accept it.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're good? It was done earlier.
yeah, we did that.
Okay.
That's okay.
Just wanted to be sure that I had my record right.
When you get older, though, we have to repeat yourself.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. I think we're almost at your spiel, Tony. Tony is on the new business plan yet. Anybody else? Do you have anything else on new business? No? Tony, go ahead and do your spiel.
Honorable Commissioners, Chief, Secretary, and public, I'm here today to get authority from you to renew your insurance policy, which comes due on September 1st. Coincidentally, I was looking at the record from last year, and I was here on August 9th last year. So we're meeting with Chief's request that we do this a little earlier in the year. So thank you for that opportunity to get up here and provide you with the information. We transmitted that to you electronically, so that you would have all those. There's a good amount of documentation that warrants your approval, and so if you had any questions or concerns, I'm here for your questioning and answering. So, anything else that would you like more details or otherwise?
You have a question? Okay. I have a question. I'll just fill the gap here. Tony, on the question of liability, we have an umbrella liability policy,
Yes.
and that is our cost, that is around $772 or so.
Yes.
Okay. On our general policy, we have liability coverage as well.
Yes.
What is the limit of that liability coverage?
So
And the liability of the umbrella.
yeah, and inside the packet, I'll just refer to it. We're looking at the liability limits for the district for anything that you would become legally liable for, and so that the insurance company could represent you and pay a limit. Each occurrence is $1 million, and that's important to know that any one occurrence is $1 million. The aggregate of that coverage is $10 million, so you could have as many as 10 $1 million claims in the course of a year.
Is that per commissioner or for each claim?
Together. Well, you're covered together, so you act as a board.
But it could be that somebody sues Matt and knows Jenny and me.
Right. So the limit is $1 million per occurrence.
Okay.
So if those were separate incidents, maybe on unrelated topics, there would be $1 million for each case, so to speak. That's important just to dial into that $1 million, because then we sell the umbrella policy, which, as you mentioned, $7,820 to get you a $10 million coverage over top of that. So we're meeting the industry standard of having $1 million primary with $10 million right behind it to protect you ultimately for all of your responsibility, decision-making, professional liability, all of those things that can come about that you could become liable for. So in essence, you have a $1 million primary with a $10 million umbrella.
Okay, and the primary liability coverage is included in the base policy, right?
Yes.
What kind of dollar figure do you give to that?
I have that broken out. It's the commercial package is $15,500 $1,272. And then that includes the liability and the business auto and the crime. And then we have $3,999 for all the portable equipment, which we refer to that as inland marine. So that's,
That was my question, thank you.
yes. What is inland marine? Oh, that's a funny name that insurance has brought to the table. And as you well know, insurance originally started on the ocean, and it was for insuring cargoes, right? So then we call anything that's not on the ocean, we call it inland marine. So oftentimes referred to as that, and we use it as portable equipment or equipment floater. It's things that aren't vehicles that are used in the business.
Okay.
So, did that clarify your question there?
So, yeah, in a way, so those two items, those two dollar amounts that you just mentioned, Tony, they amount to about 18,600, thereabouts, right?
Yeah, we're
And that is the value of
just
the,
below 20,000, yes.
okay, that is the value of our policy, that is our cost. If we do not go with the umbrella,
Right.
with the umbrella, so,
Right.
okay?
Yes, and Honorable Commissioner, just from experience and knowing, in the day, 35 years ago when I started in the business, we insured fire districts for $100,000.
Yeah.
And since we've come to grips with $1 million limits, we've also made it the standard is 10 million.
Yeah.
So that additional. Typically nowadays, we're seeing fire districts with 20 million and 30 million.
Yeah, I'm sure in another 5 years, you and I will be talking 100 million.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, but my recommendation as a certified insurance counselor is that you do indeed strongly consider, and I strongly recommend, the additional umbrella limit for those unusual circumstances. And we've had some of these incidents happen here in the county, and it's usually, and statewide and nationally, even more so as of recently. And typically it's a code unit going lights and sirens, and they get tangled up with a passenger vehicle that has many passengers. And those, well, we have right away, we still end up being in lawsuits and paying those, because we're legally liable ultimately for that wrongful death or otherwise. So, to make a long story short, I strongly recommend the additional limits of the umbrella to provide the protection that you would need, because it's not unusual for claims to go over $1 million these days.
Why doesn't your insurance company up the liability amount in the general coverage policy?
I understand, so the primary.
To me, it seems that you keep that low so you can sell another umbrella policy on top of it.
It's, and part of that, Honorable Commissioner, is the way insurance is acquired, and through the risk management the insurance companies use, they go to what we call treaty reinsurance, and so they buy insurance on their insurance policy, so to speak. And part of that is under the Insurance Services Organization, standardized and filed nationally. That's typical of what we see, $1 million primary with the umbrellas and layers.
You haven't answered my question.
That we do see in some special packages these days, $2 million primary with a $4 million aggregate. Usually we're talking about bookstores and things of that nature where the risk is.
I think the question is why aren't you offering a $20 million base policy?
Yeah, and if I had that opportunity to make that change, and occasionally I sit on boards that do make recommendations, sounding boards, but technically it's the insurance industry standard, and it's the way it has been.
And is that a standard that you then follow, that you have to follow?
Yes,
Or
that
is
is
the
as well.
standard flexible, yes? Or what?
I'd like to say that this information is provided to us by the insurance industry and insurance companies, and that flexibility in arriving at what a primary limit is, to this day, it still seems to be $1 million primary with these layers of umbrella excess catastrophe coverage, as we call it, or umbrella for short, to to pick up these extra millions of dollars. So that has been studied. For a while, we saw in some of the commercial, and it was kind of prior to 9/11, where they were offering $3 million coverage as primary. And I can see a lot less of that now, and I don't blame 9/11 for that, but it created some standards in the industry. So,
Tony, I don't dispute all that. You're in an awkward position, actually. You gotta work well. We are your client, right?
absolutely.
And the client is, you know, treat your clients right. You also work for the insurance companies. You have several insurance companies you deal with, right? And then thirdly, you work for your wife and your children and yourself.
My favorite thing is to volunteer for the fire department.
No, I'm talking income only.
But
You know what I mean? I mean, that's an awkward position. You're either a salesman or you're not a salesman. You cannot live off the air alone. So you do what you have to do. And unfortunately, you are in a position to pass the cost on, the extra cost, because of 9/11, because of mitigation, because of that. I just don't like it. But that doesn't mean that I don't like you. No, I have nothing against you. I have no beef to grind, so to speak. On the other hand, I just want to be on the record that I just don't like the way it's being done. And if my two other commissioners agree, okay, we will leave it in place. Obviously, I can't do anything about it then. But that's just the way it is now. But I just want you to understand that this doesn't go over very easily with me. This liability thing. I think it will be bone of content forever that you sit in that room, in this room, and all of a sudden, I know if I'm here 5 years from now, we're talking about an umbrella insurance policy that won't be 20 million anymore. That's going to be 30 or 40 million. Okay, now, I'm old by then. I probably will have forgotten what I said today.
it was recorded, is the good news. So,
Well, yeah,
we'll have-
okay, and then you probably come up with another issue that the insurance company recommended. Do this, do that, do that. I know insurance companies, and that's okay, I won't go any further. Long story short, folks, what do you say?
We got a question. What's been the claims, say, in the last 3 years? in
Yeah.
Whatcom County?
what have been the claims in the last 3 years? Typically, they're rear-end type accidents with people being sandwiched, so to speak, those kinds. In the fire department, is that what you're?
I mean, it's a risky business.
Yeah, large. It's anytime there's a death, that we're really, usually, it's a contractual obligation, and all the ethics and the spirit